I'm going to start with a recent news event that really shocked me, and I was pretty devastated, I have to say. And that news was regarding Dr. Peter Attia. I began listening to him and following him quite a while ago. It was years actually before he became super popular, and I thoroughly enjoyed his content and thought he was a fascinating individual. Actually, I was intimidated of how intelligent and his intellect, how smart he was compared to me. But recently, he's been in the news, and there's some serious allegations and emails that really are very sad and shocking, and actually very disturbing. There's many people talking about it, and I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not going to get into that about him, but very sad. I was hurt by it because he influenced me doing this, and I would listen to most of his stuff, but it's pretty sad. So I thought it'd be a good time to do something about influencers, because I think he was a very well known and popular influencer. And today there's so many on various social media platforms: doctors, scientists, athletes, health coaches, biohackers, bodybuilders, fitness gurus, and on and on. And that's just in the health side of things. There's so many different areas that I follow along now as I'm getting older and hoping to retire. There's so much about money, and from everything from Social Security, when you should collect it, to stocks, to investing, to Roth IRAs, when to convert, and I could go on. And there's a bazillion just on YouTube of individuals who are experts in these areas, or I would call them influencers as well. So when it comes to the health world, that's what we're focusing on today, and just things that we should be aware of and mindful of. I've talked a little bit about this before in some of my other videos, but that would be a good point. Just, I know the Peter Attia situation is an extreme, way off on one side, but there's other things that we need to consider when thinking about health influencers, and being careful not to put 100% trust necessarily in health influencers unless we educate ourselves first. That's really, educating yourself is probably the smartest health decision that you can make, or we can make. And it's not about hating people or distrusting individuals, but it's really being careful, taking care of ourselves in a proper way. And I actually still love listening to all these areas that I mentioned, different people from different backgrounds. I love health related podcasts, fitness podcasts, or workout strategies. I love it. New breakthroughs in supplementation, or even medicine, different things. It's all pretty cool, and it kind of motivates me in what I'm doing, but it still incorporate critical thinking, and I think that that's important when it comes to these areas. And when I say critical thinking, we think of the word critical and we think, oh, just being negative, but that's not what critical thinking really has to do with. It sounds like nitpicking at things and being critical and negative, but I looked it up on AI and Google, and just a few of the ideas. There's many that it presents, and they all sound awesome. But just a few things. It says it's a rather constructive approach to evaluating ideas, or examining information to determine its validity, relevance, and accuracy, or actively questioning information and assumptions rather than accepting them at face value. So when we mentioned it a few times today in our discussion about critical thinking, that we need that so that we can determine if what's being presented to us makes sense, and if it's something that we are going to try to incorporate. Because remember, at the end of the day, this is something we need to remember, and you need to remember: it's your body, it's your responsibility, and it's your decision. So whatever we're doing, those three things, we need to remember that it's not somebody on the other side of our phone or our computer or tablet or whatever situation. It's all up to us. We can take in what others try to help us with, but end of the day, it's on us. So remember, influencers, they're not your doctor. Many of them are individuals that talk about health, might not even be licensed professionals. They're not aware of your personal medical history. And remember that they're speaking to thousands, tens of thousands, or maybe even millions at once. So it's not isolated individual attention they're giving. And even when there are many are licensed, I said many aren't, but there are those that are licensed, they still don't know your genetics, what medications you might be taking. They don't know your lab results or your lifestyle. So health advice is rarely a one size fits all. We need to keep that in mind. And your body is not a trend. And that's very popular in social media. What's trending now? What kind of information in the health world is trending now? So that's something to keep in mind. And another factor that plays in is the money factor. And sometimes we might not think of that, but influencers make money through supplements, affiliate links, courses, sponsored posts. So critical thinking will get us to ask, are they educating in this video? Are they marketing? And again, I'm not saying that everyone is dishonest. I think there's a lot of good-hearted people that are trying to do things. Hopefully you think of me that way, but I think there are many that are genuinely trying to help individuals. Excuse me. But it would be naive for us not to think that financial incentives can create a bias, even unconsciously. So that's why we need to educate ourselves and follow the evidence. We need to remember that science is nuanced and social media is not. Platforms reward bold claims and dramatic statements that are going to get a lot of clicks and a lot of attention. But real research says, well, it depends on this, or more studies are needed to substantiate this, or even results may vary between individuals. That's not going to go viral. Extreme statements are going to go viral, like this one food cures inflammation. Now, I firmly believe there are foods out there that are definitely good for us that are going to help us not to have inflammation. But to say one food cures, that's an oversimplification and an extreme exaggeration, because the majority of people are inflamed, and that's the cause of so many illnesses and sicknesses. So making bold claims like that, that's what's going to get clicks, but it's might not be on the up and up. Or this one is a popular one that gets attention. Doctors don't want you to know this. Now, don't get me wrong. I have my opinions and issues with certain medical parts of the system and the medical world, but I certainly don't believe that doctors are sinister and they're going to try to hide something that's beneficial to people, and they're going to try to hide it. Doctors don't want you to know this. So those are some of the things that we want to be careful. They might be interesting to watch or listen to, but they might not, again, be on the up and up of something that we want to take to heart and apply in our lives. We don't want to have blind trust. Never want to put 100% of our trust into influencers that can lead to making poor choices. We might ignore real medical advice because we're listening to a certain influencer, or we might try some unsafe supplements or biohacks that they might have some scary consequences that haven't really been discovered or talked about yet. Could develop a food fear. There's a lot of food or eating disorders that people suffer from. Could get anxiety around eating normal. So it could be dangerous, and then even delaying proper diagnosis to something where, in most cases, especially with cancer, but in other areas too, that delaying getting a diagnosis, it's in the early stages that many things can be cured or helped. So if we're delaying a diagnosis because of something we saw online, we definitely could be doing long-term harm to ourselves. So educating ourselves, that's really the empowering part. We don't need to distrust everyone, but we do need to become informed. And when we educate ourselves, then we can spot an exaggeration, we can ask better questions, understand context of things, and then make decisions confidently for ourselves. For ourselves, have we checked other sources? Have we just watched one video and now we're sold, so to speak? Or have we said, well, what do other people say about this? What kind of research can I do? And nowadays, it's very easy to do very extensive research on many areas. Have we checked the scientific consensus on some of this? Are there peer-reviewed studies that we could look at or that others have talked about? One way that we can evaluate health influencers before trusting them or really following through and doing what they are suggesting is, again, do they cite studies? Do they acknowledge uncertainties that it looks like this works for this, but we're not certain yet? More research needs to be done. Do they correct themselves when they're wrong? Are they transparent? Are they trying to sell something that they're trying to give advice about? Those could be some red flags. There could be other red flags. Is there a lot of fear-based marketing going on? Are they dogmatic on their approach? Are they speaking in absolutes? Some people say everyone else is wrong. You have to do it this way. You have to work out this way. You have to eat this way. That's a little. Let's calm down a little bit. It's not like that. So anyone who's claiming to have the ultimate answer to human health is really oversimplifying the matter, and we definitely would want to be cautious. So definitely build. It's good for us to build our own health philosophy. We learn foundational principles. Even just track how we feel. If we're experimenting with some workouts or a different way of our sleep hygiene, our diet, it could be all sorts of things. How do we feel? Are we actually feeling good? Do we feel better? Those are things that we can definitely keep in mind, and definitely consult a professional when needed in whatever area it is. So we can listen to influencers. I'm entertained by them. I'm educated by them, and but I don't buy into every single thing that I watch or listen to. I don't run out and buy every supplement that's promoted. I keep kind of researching myself and educating myself to see. So you just don't want to surrender our thinking. You want to take the information as input, not as commandments. And that's going to keep us safer as we're trying to do better. We all want to do better. That's why we watch these things and listen to them, but we need to be careful. So health influencers definitely can inspire us. They can educate us and even change lives. But our health decisions should come from three areas, as we talked about. And that's a suggestion. Educating ourselves, critical thinking, not being negative, but doing the research, and then professional guidance if needed. It doesn't come from blind loyalty to any one influencer. And remember, we said this at the beginning, your body, your responsibility, your decision at the end of the day. So I hope you found this helpful. Please smash the like button and hit the subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Remember to exert yourself, elevate your health, evolve in mind and body. And I hope you found this helpful. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.